Mathematics of ESP, presented to you by Peasant Productions. Math of ESP, why it works even if you don't believe in it. We are discussing time travel and the Hollywood movie conspiracy, that it's a real simple little thing that anybody can do. You just push the button. You get up to 88 miles an hour. Yeah. I had some fun with my kid in the car once about that. Hey, let's see if we can do 88 miles an hour and go back in time. We were on a road that actually allowed you to go that fast. There was a speed limit 80 miles an hour, 85 miles an hour, something like that. The truck wouldn't go that fast, but needless to say, I got to tease my son a little bit. The reality is, okay, like I said, you have to think of all these variations of stuff going on, okay? You are not going to move into the past because you're here in the present, and your time cycle is always going forward. I hate this, whatever it is in my throat. Winter scudge, you know. The horrors of having a human body. You got to get old and cranky in a good laughing mood. To put yourself in the exact place that you were at in the past means that you're literally going to pick up the whole universe and move it backwards. Every human being, everything going on, all the spin, all the rotation of more planets than you can count, more stars than you can count. Okay, it might be countable. I'm not going to say that's not possible. Okay, it's only a universe. But stop and think about it. If a computer going as fast as it can't really contemplate how many stars and planets and celestial bodies there are, how does the human being do that? So yeah, but you got all this stuff, you're going to move back. Well, what about all of us other people that don't want to go back? Okay, and we're more energy going forward than you are trying to go back. So that's why I say what you have to do is build a machine that is either in league with a spiritual entity, or you are going to duplicate the idea of a spiritual entity. Okay? Anyone that does healing hands or knows what miracles are for real, okay, knows that you generally have some kind of spirit guide helping you do so. Something is there. If you are quite enlightened, then yes, you can reach out, touch the energy, and apply it. Okay. You know how to manipulate the actual energy itself that is around you. The mana. There's a wide variety of names for it, and being dyslexic, I'm not even going to try and go down the list, but it's everywhere. It is, like I said, you got to remember, this is energy solidified, folks, nothing more. Whether you want to take it from the quantum physics point of view, which is the highest level of human provable science, okay? You can sit down and prove to yourself that reality is nothing more than solidified energy. You can take an electron microscope and you can zoom it all the way down and you can see here's an atom and here's an atom, and you go a little further, here's a proton and a neutron, okay, and there's all this gap in between. It's not solid. ever. I don't care how dense you get. Uranium, man-made, absolute crud, man-made, very heavy, 238. It's still got to have area in between it, so those protons and neutrons and electrons can all vibrate and move around and circle around each other. Because if it doesn't exist. It can't exist. Okay? So, when you start thinking about the idea of time travel, and you can't even begin to put yourself in an exact place in the past, and yeah, there was something in the news that a single photon was taken and placed backwards into a time period where that photon existed before, and somehow that was supposed to be going back in time. It's kind of amusing, but the scientists didn't stop to think about the fact that if they moved it back in time, but it's inside a lab, which is moving forward in time, it didn't go back in time. They brought an energy ghost of the past forward, and they interacted their photon in the present, not the past. Okay? They may have seen a reality of change. Again, quantum physics. Consciousness affects your reality. They see it as saying, oh, we went in the past, see, we did this, okay, but it didn't, because it was all controlled in a lab happening now. Okay? So there is an illusion that humans have that they are doing things that more often than not replaces logic. You don't stop to think about the fact that you're not in that exact moment in the past, and you're not in that exact place in the universe. So you can't actually be doing what you're claiming. Now you could be moving off into a separate universe, and if if everything zaps out here, everything in that that lab suddenly disappeared, and they had a totally empty room, nothing was there, then yes, they probably picked themselves up and went to a separate universe. And that is, if you read sci-fi, what generally happens. H.G. Wells' time machine, what happened? The guy built a time machine, and he literally disappeared from view in front of people. He could go forward and back. It's a little hard going forward because it hasn't happened yet. But prophecy is the energy of what might be. So therefore it is possible to take that energy and push it over to the side and again create an alternate universe. You have time traveled, you are going to create an alternate universe, and you are going to say, this is what happens, and this is where it's going, and this is what happens, okay? But the guy disappeared. And when he came back, which can't really happen, he comes back to his house back in the 1800s England with his machine. He realizes his machine is inside the Ugly People Eater's place, and he wants it to be outside the Ugly People Eater's place. So he literally pushes his machine outside the building so that he can be outside when he reappears. Okay? He had to move himself around. He had to move his machine around. Okay? But again, he simply disappears. And again, this is the problem that scientists have, is they're so locked into a very small area. The mainstream scientists, I'm sure there's a lot of scientists that, like me, are off wandering around looking to see just what is possible instead of trying to control what is possible. But like religion controls rather than teaches about being spiritual. Okay. Therefore, science, they want to say that only this is possible. And a very good example of that is the idea of climate change. You have two sides. You have Democrats and Republicans. Whenever we really look at them, they're the same thing. They are part of the Roman divide and conquer, bread and circuses routine. They keep arguing back and forth, nothing gets done. You pay them a full year's salary of $174,000. They work about 100 days out of the year. They spend the other 265 days of the year going out and begging for more money so that they can stay in office. Yeah. They don't do a whole lot of work. They give you a whole lot of hot air. But they fight. So what do you have? You have climate change. It can happen. It can't happen. It's only CO2. No, climate change is more than CO2. Climate change is a whole lot of things. Deforestation is climate change. Yeah. You go in and chop down every frickin' tree, and believe me, the area that you just did that at is going to have some radical climate change. Okay? So you have, as a human being, caused climate change by mowing a bunch of stuff down. And putting in a couple of palm plants, or a couple of pear trees, or a couple of banana trees, where there was once a huge thriving ecosystem of thousands of plants. And in that small area you've got a tree here and a tree, 15, 25 feet apart, so that they are proper for harvesting and orchard raising and all of that. Everything in between is bare dirt, because you don't want anything stealing the water and the nutrients that are going to your two productive plants here. What's the reality? You have changed the environment, because all of these plants are now missing, and they were part of what was doing something for the whole environment. So climate change is very real, and it is more than just one pathetic little thing. It is a whole entire slew of things. So this shows you how entirely illogical both your political system is, your society is, and the science is, because it's feeding to both sides of the foolishness. It's either this or it's that. No, no, no. It's all of this. Okay? So that's what I say. You missed out on all of this. You're not going to go back. You're not going to get this world all over again. Okay?